Now let's bring in ABC contributor and Sirius XM radio host Mike Muse for more. So, Mike, what are you watching for as the trial gets underway?
I'm watching for what is going to be the opening statements and the opening framing of both Meta and also with the United States government. I think Meta actually has a really interesting point to be made when it comes to the competition in the marketplace. Right now, users have so many different types of choices that we can utilize. We can utilize not just Instagram and WhatsApp, but if you look at Instagram separately, what we can use from Instagram is we can also look at TikTok. TikTok has become one of the most dominant social media platforms of choice, in particular for that sweet spot that advertisers love, which is that younger demographic, right? Because when you have a younger demographic that is enjoying your app, you become sticky over time, right? That means they'll stay with you as they evolve, right? And so they're in it for the long-term perspective of it. You also too have Snapchat as an option. And the reason why Instagram Stories was created is because Snapchat was there and really began to gain dominance in that space. And then you also too have YouTube. YouTube now also too have Shorts. YouTube Shorts is in relationship to Snapchat, also too as well as Instagram Stories. So the American consumer actually has so many different types of choices, and that's just from posting. Then, James, you look at when you come to WhatsApp. WhatsApp is because of the encrypted communications that people enjoy WhatsApp for. But James, as you know, Signal all of a sudden has been big in the conversation. You don't say why, right? But also too, next to Signal, you also have Telegram. So you have Telegram and you have Signal, and then you have WhatsApp. So Americans have much more choices than they do. Then you look at it from an entrepreneur, startup, tech company perspective. I am a tech founder too as well. And part of the tech question that you get when you're going for your seed round, your seed A, your seed B, is the investors are saying, what's your exit strategy? A lot of startups nowadays want to be acquired. Yeah. You have a lot of startups actually start companies for the purpose of being acquired. Now, the US government will say, well, look, Meta overpaid for Instagram and for WhatsApp. So then therefore they were creating undue competition that didn't allow for innovation within the marketplace. So I'll be looking to see how does the US government provide the evidence? How do they build that case and that framing around that piece?
So if these two apps, Instagram and WhatsApp, are actually spun off, what might that end up looking like for the average consumer?
For the average consumer, it will actually change the way that we integrate and we use the products, particularly within Meta. The reason why Meta changed their name from Facebook, because they're more than just Facebook. They're a fully integrated system that includes Facebook, that includes the Facebook marketplace, but also too creates WhatsApp, Threads. James, when you log into, let's say, your Instagram from your typical device that you don't normally log on to, Facebook would say, hey, use your Facebook email address and password in order to get into your WhatsApp or in order to get into your Instagram.
And then when you forget one, they all go down.
Exactly.
So it's a complete nightmare.
So it's a very vertically integrated system. And even so, like when you post on Instagram now, it automatically posts to Threads. And so the idea, so it's like a lot of Apple users and MacBook users. It's an ecosystem, right? So you have your iPhones, you have your iPads, you have your MacBooks, right? And so all those things are so integrated into the Apple username. It's the same way that Meta has. And so the users will experience a different, disconnected experience. And so the question is, will the users even want that?
Yeah, well, I might actually, come to think of it. If I forget a password, I don't want it to impact absolutely every other app I have. So anyway, that's just me. But the FTC isn't just focusing on Meta, is it? It's got Google in its sight, Amazon as well. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so this is one of the big dynamics that the government has recently been coming for antitrust. And then James, too, the FTC and the U.S. government is really looking at, Live Nation, right? And it's in Ticketmaster, right? So the government has really been focusing on monopolies and trying to break up monopolies. But that's why you saw, James, these tech industry titans at the inauguration, right? It's all in order to make sure they have a seat at the table, to make sure they can be in this Trump's administration's ear, to really maybe hope for settlements, maybe to explain their case, all right, and to maybe to see if things can change so they don't have to divest some of their business practices as well. Google is going to be something really big that we're going to be looking at, particularly when you look at two things from Google. One is the antitrust from the monopoly in terms of their search engines. Second, they're going to be looking at in terms of their Google ads, right? And so we haven't quite seen how that's going to be resolved. And so the government is really looking at these tech giant companies. So the question is, though, is it this idea of anti-tech because they don't understand understand it. And also, too, what I found really curious is that the judge in this Meta case doesn't use the Meta products. Now, I'm not saying that matters or not if they can deliver a good opinion or not, but it really goes to understanding, like, does the U.S. government has understanding of lived experiences with this app? Do they understand that there's so many other choices when it comes to social media apps platforms that just isn't Instagram? So if you're stuck just thinking that it's Instagram, not recognizing that TikTok is the #1 choice right now for so many individuals, for users, and also too, the amount of time is much more in these other apps than on Instagram and Facebook.
It is really interesting, isn't it? Because I think from the face of it, we all watched the inauguration. We all thought these tech giants, these tech moguls were on side with the Trump administration, and it feels perhaps that might not be the case, or at least it's a lot more complicated than we thought. So anyway, we'll be watching. But
much more complicated.
Thanks so much, Mike.